Now, last Saturday saw a dramatic end to the inaugural season of the Jamaica Premier League at the JFF UWI captain Horace Burrell Centre of Excellence. After 120 minutes of battle that saw 2 goals, 1 apiece, 1 red card, some frantic attacking and backs-to-the-wall defending, Cavalier prevailed in a tense penalty shootout in heavy dusk to lift their first Premier League title in 40 years. Ricardo Chambers recaps the action.
With everything to play for and history on the line, the 2021 Jamaica Premier League final came to a dramatic conclusion at the Horace Burrell Centre of Excellence. After dominating the play early, it was Cavalier who deservedly took the lead, courtesy of a 17th-minute header from defender Jamoy Topi. Just a minute later, things went from bad to worse for Waterhouse when captain Nikolai Finlayson received a caution for a poorly timed tackle, but was then given his marching orders for showing dissent to referee O'Shane Nation. With the man advantage, Cavalier would dominate possession for the remainder of the first half, but failed to capitalise on clear chances to double their lead. After a 20-minute weather delay that put a halt to proceedings in the second half, it was Waterhouse who had the better of the possession and looked more likely to score the game's next goal. With time running out, the 10 men of Waterhouse pressed to get back into the game and drew brilliant back-to-back saves out of Cavalier goalkeeper J. Dean White. Their bravery, though, was rewarded when the referee pointed to the spot in the 96th minute after a handball by substitute Kamoy Simpson. Damian Binns stepped up and calmly converted to force extra time. Extra time produced no goals, so the final would be decided on the lottery of the penalty kicks. Each goalkeeper produced a save to put the shootout in sudden death, but it was White's heroics that put Cavalier 1 kick away from glory.
Again, history on the line. Purcell, what can he do from 12 yards to win this for Cavalier? Purcell! Scores for Cavalier!
A new generation of Cavalier players came of age and ended their 40-year wait for another national title.
Yeah, that was rather nice. We could have done it more light, but that's another conversation for another time. But 40 years, Lance, 40 years, Mariah, it's a heck of a long time. And, you know, there are many people associated with the Cavalier project who may have thought that, boy, how much longer? Will it be 50 years before we can lift that trophy again after that 1981 success? And it's good for them to see that the long night is over.
Yeah, and you speak about the length of time, which means, you know, the amount of sacrifice, the amount of effort, the amount of, you know, trying this coach, trying this different player, you know, playing around with the pieces to reach this point. And I said it at the top of the show, I genuinely hope that Cavalier, they continue with this pushing the youth forward and they become a dominant force, that when we think about the Jamaica Premier League finals, Cavalier must be one of the teams we're talking about people being afraid of.
Yeah, and one of the things that you've got to respect a lot about the Cavalier project at the moment is the fact that their team changes almost every season because of the transitioning of players to overseas contracts and so on. They every season lose key players, so they come back with a season with new players, and certainly for the past 2 or 3 seasons continue to be a force every year.
Yeah, joining us is the technical director of Cavalier, Rudolph Speid. Rudolph, welcome to the SportsMax Zone, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Good. All right. So you are champions. I just wanted to reflect on the season that was, and of course Saturday's game when your boys went that step further than teams before. Well, no team since 1981 has gone.
Yes, and one of the big points is that when we won, it just brought back into perspective our founder, Leighton Duncan. He would have won 40 years ago against Thunderbolts, with Bradley Stewart being the coach of Thunderbolts, 2 veteran coaches. You know, we dropped out of Premier League for 17 years. We came back, we fell out again for another 4 years. We came back and we changed our status quo. We decided that we were going to approach football much different, you know. So, and people used to write us off, you know, think that the young project is good, but it will never carry us anywhere. So this is vindication for all the young players in the country who never get a chance to play in the Premier League because they didn't believe they were good enough. And I think that is where we have scored our biggest victory last Saturday.
Yeah, stay where you are, Rudolph. I'm going to take a quick break and come right back and continue this discussion. Cavalier Premier League champions in Jamaica for the first time in 4 decades. The youth, they did it. The Youth Brigade, we can rebrand them. Absolutely fantastic achievement for all concerned. We'll pick up on the discussion after these. Yeah, Saturday's climax to the Jamaica Premier League season at the UWI JFF Captain Horace Burrell Centre of Excellence Waterhouse, with players who have travelled the road of Premier League Championship already. Cavalier with youngsters, first time at this level, but they weren't giddy, there were no nosebleeds. And Jamar Purcell, the man who came up with Sandals White House, recruited by Cavalier, his winning penalty, the key in the end. Jadine White with 2 saves, and Cavalier are champions of Jamaica's top flight football competition for the first time since 1981. Their technical director, Rudolph Speid, is with us to talk about the Cavalier project. Coach, I want to go into some history, because you mentioned before that there was a time when you were away from the top flight. The club was for 17 years. You came up back in 2012. Then I recall you going down in the 2015-16 season. And of course, you came up back 16-17. I remember very well, April 2, 2016 is when you lost 1-0 at Tivoli Gardens, coached by Glendon Admiral Bailey, which confirmed your relegation. And then the year after, when you were approaching the playoffs for the Premier League, when you were in the Super League, your captain, Ryan Miller, left. And people felt that, well, your best player was gone. You wouldn't have the quality to get up to the Premier League in those playoffs. You recruited some young players. I think you brought in Kaheem Paris at that time, and a player, Norman Bailey, if my memory serves me correct, from Waterhouse. And they helped you to get back to the Premier League. And since then, you've been moving on that ladder. Throughout all of this, working with the young players, people telling you that you'd win nothing with kids, and looking at the struggles and being relegated with youngsters, were you and the management staff ever tempted to tinker with the model and put youth and experience like everybody else to achieve the goal of being Premier League champions?
No. We just thought that what we should be doing is to getting them more experience and also to prepare them better. So what we did was that our technical staff actually got more experience, got more knowledge. It would take a day for me to tell you all that we did. We did the research on the different generations, and we knew what young people like to do and how they like to operate. And that's what we brought all those experience to the fore. Because, as a matter of fact, this team is even younger than all the other teams that we have ever had. So this is the youngest of them all.
In 2016, you did something unprecedented in Jamaican football, Cavalier did. You were under 13, under 15, under 17 champions with that team in 2016. And a lot of those players would have played for you subsequently in the Premier League. And some of them have gone on to better things overseas where contracts are concerned. Is it something that you do that you can share with us, how you manage to keep young players so consistent? Because as you know very well, a lot of coaches complain that the thing with the young players, you can't trust them to give you a 7 out of 10 performance week in, week out. How have you and the team, David Layler and company, managed to get so many young players to consistently give you that 7 out of 10 and more week in, week out over the course of a campaign?
Is the whole training program, because most of those players would have gone to Cayman probably twice, from their 13 to 15 years of age. We go to Mexico when they are 16, and then we go to the Gotia Cup when they are 17, and some 18-year-olds will also make the trip. So what we have done is to really open their eyes as to what international competition is, what can be achieved by players in terms of their lifestyle, live their athlete's life. And then we just progress up all the best ones into the Premier League team. No matter what, we always leave some spaces for those young players. We will promote up at least 3, 4, maybe sometimes even 5 players from the under-17 teams, and just wait on the others to catch up. So that is the kind of program that we have in place. And then we spend like 75% of our budget on the youth. So our money is not spent on the older players, it's really on the youth. So that is our program.
Yeah, and Coach, can we spend some time talking about Jadine White, your goalkeeper, who did exactly what he needed to do to ensure that your team got over the line?
Yes, and Jadine White is the most maligned goalkeeper in Jamaica. I don't know why. You know, in the first part of the series, Jadine White was keeping on one leg basically because we did not have another keeper. A lot of times he was the only keeper in the squad. But he fought through those injuries. He was even a little bit overweight. He fought through that too. And by the end of the season, the last 5 games, we have only conceded 1 goal, which is a penalty. That is a testament to how Jadine White has improved steadily over the season. And by the end of the competition, he was easily the best keeper in the competition. So that's after Jadine White.
Definitely. And what I know for sure is working with youngsters, they push you to the limit. So therefore, you're forced as well to grow, even if you're the best. What would you say is so special about this bunch of youngsters that you've worked with for this season?
Well, it's the team building process. You're so correct. You know, this is the most I've ever had to call players from I've been coaching in the year. I mean, I have to be constantly on the phone with the players whenever they do something wrong in training or in a game, or if I don't see them turn up for a session, you know, especially in the early times when there was no football. So the team building process was great. They bonded, and I think the more you have the players at the same age is the better the communication between each other, and that was evident. But the most significant thing that I saw was that this team could attack. You know, they are a very good attacking team, and then I also realized that this team could defend too. And once I saw that after the Mount Pleasant game, which we did last 3-2, I said in my mind, you know something, we can go all the way. We just switched around from trying to run everybody out of the park and decided that we were going to use our defense to win the matches. And the team, I mean, just matured overnight. When we said we were going to play in a particular fashion, they would just stick to it right throughout the game, and that's the uncanny part about these young players.
Yeah, Rudolph, I want to talk a little bit more about your defensive the solid defensive game that you have year in, year out. But a lot of St. Lucians watch this program, and Melvin Doxley has been one of the best players in the entire tournament this championship season. Former Grosselet also spent some time with Jamal Shabaz's Caledonia in the TNT Pro League. How pivotal was he to your program this year?
Oh, you're correct. He's one of the most versatile and the best player. We have played him at left stopper. We played him at the right side. We have played him in central midfield. And he has done a lot of wonderful things for us. Incidentally, you know, we have done a lot of things for him too, because he has improved as a player like 50% since he came here. So just the whole idea of playing with these top players every day, and never miss training, always early. He's one of those persons that learns the lingua, you know, that we speak out here. And he was just fun to be around. I mean, I find him very funny. Some of the time he tries to build just like the Jamaicans. You know, he tried to learn the song. Yeah. The players love him to death. They rally around him. Yes. And he's an instrumental part of the team building process that brought us here. Yeah,
you mentioned earlier on about conceding just 1 goal in the last 5 matches that you played for the entire season, and that was a penalty. You had varying defenders in your setup all season. A player like King coming in as a young player, just picking up the Cavalier style and being solid in defense. They say defense wins championships, and I guess your team sort of illustrated that this year, didn't they?
Oh yes, we have this. I think we're tied for the least amount of goals scored on the team overall of the teams that go in the top 6. When Jamal Tope came back again, yes, it was a work in progress. We put him in midfield because he wasn't up to his best, and then we slowly worked him into the team. When King went away on national duties, I mean, he got called up after playing 7 Premier League games. That's uncanny for a centre half. Tope just took over in the Portmore game, did an excellent job, and we have had Tope there since. So Tope, King, and Leng was gotten about 2 man of the match award so far in the competition. they just form a formidable partnership there, along with improving Jadine White, as I spoke about his troubles before. And the oldest person in that backline was Jadine Antopia at 21. So it's just uncanny the way those players play together and just, defend the team so magnificent.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you quickly about the fact that you use so many defenders in the penalty shootout. Usually attacking players are the preferred ones to kick penalties. But just a quick comment on the philosophy of the strong Cavalier defence. I remember even in the 2015-16 season that you were relegated. It was a rotten season, Rudolph. It was the worst season Cavalier has had in such a long time. But even then, you conceded just 36 goals in your 33 matches, which was a better defensive record than at least 6 of the other teams that were above you in the league. Talk to us about your philosophy about defending.
Well, I'm a defender, so maybe that's the reason. I was a defender in my time, played for so many years. So, but the truth is we try to build from the back going forward. So we try to build a strong defense and then we work with the rest going forward. When we had the MHM, the Marsh, Hamilton and Marshall,
yes,
we know we could rely on those players to score goals. So the other side of the coin was to try and stop people from scoring on us. And that's the kind of brand that we try to
yeah. And about so many defenders kicking in the penalty shootout?
Yes, well, what happened now, we knew that even with this game was going to be close. Penalty shootout was always something that we believe would happen. So we did practice for about a month. We were waiting on it. Jadine White was on top of his game also in those shootouts. And the defenders were the ones who were scoring the penalty in training. So we just had to go with all the defenders,
Yeah, and quickly, have you heard from your former captain, Siobhan Marsh? Because I saw that he scored a goal on Saturday night, probably inspired by the Cavalier win, playing in Costa Rica. Costa Rica, isn't he?
Yes, I'm sure he did. No, he sent us his congratulations and tongue-in-cheek said, okay, it looked like it's a good thing I left. And then he went out and scored a goal. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah, and where does Cavalier set itself up for the title defence? Because the organisers have said that the 21-22 season is likely to start before year end.
Yes, well, I mean, as I said, this generation of players, that don't excite them so much. What is exciting them is for us to play in the CFU leagues and try to get to the CONCACAF league. That is their excitement. So I know I don't have to motivate them again for the season. They are going to come and start to work hard to be able to progress in that competition. Because as you know, Cavalier is the youngest professional team that ever won a Premier League title, professional title in the world, not just in Jamaica. And the players are just excited to go into that CONCACAF league to play against their counterparts from Canada, USA, Costa Rica, etc. So that's where we're really focusing on, although we're coming back to defend our title.
Yeah, we're at the end, Rudolph, and just before you go, in case people accuse us of bad interviewing, the average age of this team, just remind us of that?
21.
21 years. Wow, absolutely tremendous. You are correct about what you've just said, along with the fact that there's certainly been no team in Jamaican history that has gone so long between titles, 1981 to 40 years later in 2001. Cavalier breaking and setting records. Congratulations, Mr. Technical Director. Very well deserved. The project attracted a lot of criticism over the years. You attracted a lot of criticism. People said you were a madman walking around in clean clothes, but now you can have the last hearty laugh because the project has delivered on the plans and the sweat of all those involved. Congratulations to you and the entire team. All the best for the future.
Thank you very much.
Rudolph Speid, Technical Director of your Premier League champions, Jamaica Premier League champions for 2021, Cavalier Football Club.